What's going on, everyone? This is Benjamin Raven, and I cover the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Now, with the end of the decade in sight, the calendar's about to turn to 2020. Let's open up some old wounds, pour a little salt in it just for old time's sake, and let's run through the 10 sports moments all of you Detroit fans would like to forget, covering the Detroit Red Wings, Detroit Tigers, Detroit Lions, and Detroit Pistons. And let me just say, lifelong Michigander here, going through this list, opening these back up. This has been a rough decade here for Detroit sports fans, so let's start with the number 10 spot. The Detroit Red Wings. Remember they were in the playoffs every year? That was fun, right? In the 2013 Western Conference semifinals, they led the number 1 seed and eventual Stanley Cup champions Chicago Blackhawks 3-1. Now they went on to lose their next 3 straight games. The Red Wings lost Game 7 in Chicago by a goal in overtime. So this was just the last feeling of hope for you Red Wings fans out there. Now number 9 also comes from 2013. The Detroit Tigers trailed the Boston Red Sox 3-2 in Game 6 of the ALCS. And then all hell broke loose. The Red Sox hit a grand slam and walked their way to the World Series as the Tigers went home. And honestly, it was the last time this team came this close to the World Series because the next year they were swept out of the playoffs, and it's been a little rough since then. Number 8, June 2nd, 2010, Armando Galarraga takes a perfect game. 9th inning, 2 outs. Grounders hit to Miguel Cabrera. Galarraga covers first base clearly an out for number 27 in the perfect game. But first base ump Jim Joyce calls the runner safe, and Galarraga has to work another out, loses his no-hitter, loses his perfect game. It's such a heart-wrenching moment. Now it's considered the 28-out perfect game. It's the perfect game with an asterisk. To this day, you can feel the life of Comerica Park get sucked out of it. Now number 7 represents the Detroit Lions' first crack at this list. It's week 13, 2015. The Lions are hanging on to dire playoff hope. Aaron Rodgers has got a free play due to a controversial face mask penalty, and he throws a moonball to the top of Ford Field that some thought was going to clip the ceiling. Instead, it falls in the hands of tight end Richard Rodgers. 27-23 Packers. The Lions finished the year 7-9 and missed the playoffs. And now number 6 might seem a little harsh to some, but let's be real. It's the Detroit Pistons as a whole, their existence, 2010 to 2019. 6 different head coaches, 1 interim head coach in that span, 2 playoff appearances, 0-8 in the playoffs, 2 sweeps. And they have 1 season where they finished above 500. But the franchise seems stuck in a state of mediocrity, and they haven't won a playoff series in more than a decade. Pistons fans haven't had anything to talk about in about 15 years. Number 5 is Calvin Johnson's unexpected retirement after the 2015 season. This one hurt not only because of what a special talent Calvin was and how much he most likely still had left in the tank, but that it was such a familiar feeling for Lions fans. You know, just 17 years prior to this move, Barry Sanders also announced his retirement at the age of 30. Shockwaves through the Detroit Lions fan base, and just Lions fans have been through it all, except for championships. Now number 4, the Detroit Tigers. This is the recent one, 2019. They lose 114 games in the regular season, and at the end of the year, they watch their former rotation from 2013 all win World Series rings. That's right, Max Scherzer and Anibal Sanchez, David Price and Rick Porcello, and Justin Verlander won his in 2017. 5 games off of their record for futility in the MLB, while watching all 5 of their former guys win rings elsewhere. That's about the perfect encapsulation of where Tigers baseball is right now heading into the new decade. Now number 3 is one of the most impressive streaks in the modern era of sports coming to an end. After 25 consecutive postseason appearances, the Detroit Red Wings missed the playoffs in 2017. Now while the last couple of years of the streak weren't exactly highly competitive, it was still a source of pride for Detroit Red Wings fans. Now the team is without Joelus Arena. Hockey Town, the allure of Hockey Town has faded away, but there is optimism with Steve Yzerman back in town running the ship. Number 2, now I expect some arguments in the comment section or perhaps in my email inbox for this one on the placement of this list. Feel free to direct your hate mail towards me. The Detroit Tigers getting swept in the 2012 World Series. Now after sweeping the Yankees in the ALCS, the Tigers had a ton of time off because the Giants needed 7 games in the NLCS just to reach the World Series. The Tigers were riding high. Miguel Cabrera had just come off his Triple Crown season, his first of 2 MVPs. Justin Verlander is starting Game 1 of the World Series. And then Pablo Sandoval happened. 2 homers off JV, 3 altogether in Game 1. And the Giants clinched the series back in Detroit in Game 4 in extra innings just to add insult to injury. Now, number 1 on this list is the Detroit Lions losing in extremely controversial fashion to the Dallas Cowboys in the 2014 NFC Wild-Card Game. The Lions had the lead late in the game when Matthew Stafford dropped back and targeted tight end Brandon Pettigrew. Cowboys linebacker Anthony Hitchens was in coverage, and it appeared that he interfered with Pettigrew on the play. The flag was thrown, the officials convened, and the flag was picked up. Sam Martin came on to punt, shanked one out of bounds 10 yards, and then Tony Romo led the Cowboys down the field for the game-winning touchdown drive, and the Lions got 2 more cracks at the ball but fumbled both ways. This one stings so bad because the Lions were staring down their first playoff victory in nearly a quarter century. Now this one is number 1 because when you see a billboard complaining about the officials in the Metro Detroit or Detroit area, think of this game right here. The impact is still lasting to this day. Now that's my top 10 list for the decade. Whether you agree with it or not, you think I missed something, shoot me an email, send me a tweet. We want to hear your top 10 in the comment section of this post. I'm very curious to see what you guys think of my placement on this one. Thank you guys for watching, and hey, here's to hoping you all have a better 2020 through 2029 than 2010 to 2019 was.